Hello everybody, welcome to year 2, week 26, and we just crossed over back into South Carolina. We are in the foothills here of the Appalachian Mountains on a road we've never been on, which was part of the whole reason for the trip. But on this podcast here this week, what I'd kind of like to do is talk a little bit about the trip, and from two aspects of the trip that we just did across, what do we agree on, 40%? That we crossed like 40%,
yeah.
the width of the United States,
yeah.
From South, Chattanooga. Oh, wow.
Good town.
There was a historical marker right there. And so yeah, like 40%, because we went from basically just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way to Austin, Texas here. And so one of the things that I want to talk about on this little podcast is talking about let's talk about the scenery first. Let's focus on that before we get to like the human element, if you want to say. But so what was your favorite scenery on the trip?
Well, I certainly like today with the creek next to us here. But the Oconee River Valley that we went through was amazing because of the mountains and the river that we were following all through there for almost a day, it seemed like.
That was in
Tennessee.
Yeah, so I mean, I would agree that basically is after this road trip that the Appalachian Mountains out here by us was clearly my favorite scenery. It was, going through, like northwestern Mississippi and southeastern Arkansas with all the farmland and all of that. That was amazing and it was fascinating, but it was basically just farms forever. And so
corn and rice.
And so that was interesting. But yeah, the most amazing is I got some new hashtags here on the trip. So of course everybody knows about my amazing hashtag, but now I've got gorgeous and now I've got Viewtiful. So, but yeah, the Appalachian Mountains, which we're back in here, are clearly my favorite. And we didn't really stop and do anything in the Appalachians because they're really within just hours of our home. So we will do those in future YouTube videos. So, but let's go ahead and talk now about, since we took almost exclusively, except for really, I think probably less than 100 miles of interstate?
Yeah.
Something like that on the whole trip. Let's talk about then the kind of like the human toll, I guess I'll say, or what we, I guess, was kind of like a eye-opener, maybe?
Oh no, the bypasses. So the big roads that were built to make travel faster and more efficient, it's just like the movie Cars. It's cut off the small towns, and it was so evident. You'd be driving along and just see a adorable little hotel that's just crumbling, and old gas stations and little general stores and things like that. They're just completely abandoned.
Yeah, the towns were just dead. I mean, if it seemed as if the town was alive, if you want to call it that, and it was a historic town, and that didn't mean anything, right? Just because it was historic didn't mean it was alive, because Natchez, Mississippi is a very historic town, and could have beautiful. Absolutely, yeah.
Antebellum homes.
Right. Oh yeah.
And such a huge part of American history with the Mississippi.
Right.
But yet it's become, I don't want to say neglected, but maybe you forgot.
Yeah, it's not. It's not in the best position, right? Location for what we've experienced with these historic towns, which is really they need to be within a proximity of now a big city, so that way the city dwellers, right, have like a day trip out.
Right.
And really Natchez was, what was it? It was like, Birmingham might have been, right?
Maybe.
No, not Birmingham, that's Alabama.
Oh.
Tupelo, but Tupelo's got Elvis stuff, so, there was just not a lot of reason for people to travel to to Natchez. I mean, to see the Mississippi, I mean, that was another amazing thing to see, was just to refresh my memory of how huge the Mississippi River actually is.
And how important it was.
And
you know, back in the day for travel.
Absolutely.
And moving,
and exploration and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Moving goods.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, so that whole bypassing how the interstate and the big roads, because like I said, I think we did less than 100 miles of interstate out of the whole trip, and so we really saw little tiny towns and little tiny places, and they have just become, you know, forgotten. And of course now with the you know, the, I'll say the, what do you want to call it, the culture, right, all of the tension and, you know, and stress and stuff in the world, and relations between humans and all this kind of stuff. It's almost like that movie The Langoliers, right? It's like the Langoliers, like everybody just wants to like come behind time and just gobble it up like nothing happened, right? You know, they just want to destroy any, you know, thing. And so a lot of these small towns, that's what's happening to them. They're just getting literally just forgotten and then gobbled up, literally by, sometimes just by nature.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even see. You drive by and you're like, oh my God, look at this, you know, this building in this town is literally being gobbled up by the forest and stuff. And so, yeah. So what was your least favorite
Helena.
part? Oh, Helena. That was a letdown. I really thought Helena was going to be
Was
amazing.
that Mississippi?
No, that's actually Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah, so.
Because once again, a very historical town.
Yeah, for its location on the river, its history of what, the blues.
I
think, right? The blues, music, and all of the, you know, and I mean, and so it was just.
I got it.
No, it's all right. You can just leave it. Be yanking and banking.
It's my rear view mirror turn.
But yeah, and so yeah, we got into. We're like, oh, this is gonna be so much cool. Helena, it's got so. There was a bed and breakfast that it looked like it was gonna be just amazing. And then,
stunning.
Oh yeah, and then we showed up in Helena, and it was like, I mean, it was a ghost town. Let's be real. It was a ghost town. I mean,
but not even a ghost town, because sometimes ghost towns are kind of preserved. This place was rode hard and put away wet.
Oh man, it was. Yeah.
It was run down, and
I mean, like
sad.
abandoned. I mean, there was like 10 people. We drove through, and there were like 10 people. The historic downtown, which is right on the Mississippi, like right on the Mississippi. I mean, it was like, I want to say boarded up, but I don't even know if it was even boarded up. Right? I think it just might have been just so neglected, and then it was just kind of the, you know, with the COVID-19 and everything else, it's just, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, now. So that was where, that was actually in mine too, first disappointment, because then we drove up to, what was it, Forest City, and just stayed in a hotel, because we were wanting to stay at,
someplace.
Yeah, like a neat bed and breakfast, which we did the next day then.
Yeah.
You know, down in Shreveport, Louisiana. So.
Oh, give a shout out to that place. It was amazing.
Yeah, Fairfield Manor and Fairfield Place. You can see it on week 25's vlog, because I did a little segment there and talked about it. But yeah, that was an amazing.
The owner is a chef, and the breakfast is just phenomenal.
It was so good. It was so good. So, but yeah, we are probably but since we're on the back roads here of South Carolina, and I think we're on like Highway 28 now in South Carolina, which means there's a good chance it'll go to dirt, because that's what happens in the Carolinas. So, yeah, cool. I don't know if I'm supposed to do something here. Oh, this doesn't look good because I'm up. No, we're good. Just keep going straight. So yeah, that is kind of a little podcast, just a little short little thing, recapping our favorite and least favorite and some of the things that we noticed on this trip.
Get off the interstate.
They have a post office in Mountain Rest, South Carolina.
Get off the interstate. You'll find the most amazing things.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the drive-through safari.
Oh yeah, if you haven't watched that, you need to go back to week 25, because there's funny stuff about that drive-through.
And we would have never found that.
That was in Nowhereville, East Texas. You know, so absolutely, yep. So get out there, and Aunt Cindy here, she's right. It's just like cars. The interstate has bypassed everything, and you don't see anything then. So if you're out there just, you know, go from point A to point B and that's the purpose, then great. But if you're out for
an all-American road trip,
all-American road trip, absolutely, and you don't know where you'll end up, you're just gonna head out, then don't take the interstates. Take these little roads, find places, still say hello to people, and go to neat little places to eat and to see and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, well, it has been an amazing road trip, Cindy.
Yes.
With you. Actually, I also am just quite amazed that it only took us a little over a week to do the road trip, because I was really thinking it was going to be like 10 days to 2 weeks, you know, to do it. But I guess we just made better time and we're faster than what we thought. So, all right, well, for everybody else, thumbs up because you are amazing. Subscribe and chime that bell to get notified, because I am your favorite YouTuber's favorite uncle, and she is your favorite YouTuber's favorite aunt. We are Uncle Mike and Aunt Cindy. Bye.
It's so beautiful, you and me. We're meant to be in the great outdoors.